welcome to the simplicity of happiness when more is too much. This podcast offers tips and techniques for a better life.
And before we start with another episode of the Simplicity of Happiness podcast, I would like to remind you that you can find out all about me and my thoughts on simplicityofhappiness.com, as well as Patreon, where I am providing extra content for all of you who support me and the education of children in Africa. And now relax and enjoy the show. Well, hello and welcome back, everybody, to another episode of the Simplicity of Happiness podcast. And today with a special international guest from the US, Yana, and I say it German, Stockman.
Love it.
Well, as far as I understood, you're Yana Stockman, is that right?
Yes. Okay. And yeah, that's my maiden name, and I love how you pronounce it in German. I never heard this version of my last name. So
yeah, it could be when you contacted me, you were writing English, and I was tempted to write back in German, because if you say Yana Stockman, it sounds so German, but I didn't, and luckily, because you are not German. Well, anyway, welcome to the show. I'm excited for our conversation.
Me too. I'm so thrilled. I couldn't ask for a better way to spend my morning.
Well, my afternoon.
Your afternoon.
It's so funny that nowadays I'm always recording at some weird time zones, but nothing is as difficult as New Zealand. So
I feel you.
New Zealand, it's basically very early and very late for both somehow. Do me a favor. Give me a picture or an idea of Yana in the year 2010.
That was a good year. That's where it all started. The whole journey of reevaluating.
Nobody knows yet what that journey is. So if you say
no.
Oh, well,
now everyone is tuned in. Yeah. Increase the volume, and whatever you add in life right now, driving or taking a nap or running or a run or a jog, or if you're just sitting and listening or watching us on LinkedIn somewhere, you're probably tuning in and lean into the your sound. 2010. That's the moment when I make decision that I have to change something in my life. And in those moments, you're kind of reevaluating what you have, what you're heading, and you're redefining your identity. That's the year when I moved to the United States from Ukraine.
And why did something have to change?
You reach to the point when you find yourself, at least I find myself after extensive traveling, that this is the next chapter. Like when you start asking, what's there for me back home? How can I evolve? What should I be doing? And that voice, internal urge was just nagging in me. I keep coming back home. Often I didn't even unpack my suitcase, came up with another adventure. The backpacks were changing, the clothes was changing, but internally, I felt like anywhere I go, look for some drive, adrenaline, or like inspiration or research for my career. I was coming back with the same feeling of like, oh, something else there for me. Something is missing. I wasn't able to find myself, no matter how far I would go and the location I would put myself. That's what pretty much was answering your question, why something has to change, because the question was like, something got to change, because this has been repetitive. I feel like I'm in the rabbit hole of this, entertaining myself with adrenaline and excitement, but internally something was missing.
That is interesting. How can it be that you are entertaining yourself and you still feel something is missing? So was it more entertainment that was missing?
I would say it was both. I knew what I was doing. The trips were a compensation of what I didn't have growing up. The opportunities that I growing up was slim and limited. For me to grow up in minimum income family, the traveling was not even actually an option. And constant excitement flipping the magazines or watching National Geographic was something like out of this world, when you actually literally don't have enough money to take a train to see your grandma. So you save all year so you can afford to go this in the summertime. And if you go, then you stay there for 3 months to kind of pay out the ticket. So then you can take enough before you go back to school. And that was my kind of geography. Home, and then up north of Ukraine, back to east side of Ukraine. And that was pretty much the distance. And knowing that there's so much there and you not able to afford for some reason, I was always was curious at the geography lessons, like why we must learn about all these beautiful places if we cannot afford to go. And more growing up, was able to finally work and save. I start stretching the directions and I'm start getting much more exciting. It's become some sort of a addiction of what else, what's next, how many countries, how far I can go, kind of start playing this idea of like comfort zone, stretching and expanding. But that was coming out of luck. It was not coming out of like, I'm going to go and find myself, my purpose and mission. Well, at that age, that's not was priority. The priority was something else at teenage age and in 20s. And I would say because of that voice, because it was something was missing and need to be fulfilled, was always there. But we compensate with excitement and adrenaline by just like numbed up. And that was pretty much the escape strategy.
And what exactly did you change?
Say it again.
What exactly did you change?
In 2010?
Yeah, 2010, 2011.
Yeah. What changed was slightly further direction and much more big of a commitment. I knew it was one-way ticket. First time ever. It was never knowing the fact, I will be back in 7 to 10 days or 14 days. And I will be back to home. It's going to be my parents, my typical comfort zone reality, and we'll see where we go from there. This time it was long-term commitment, knowing that there is no way back maybe. And how is that going to play out? And knowing that fact, you start questioning, can you make it? Like the fear level increased and self-doubt level increased. And of course, the favorite topic of self-worth increased. Like, am I actually capable? Am I worth to be there? Who am I? And what's there waiting for me? And the answer was uncertainty, nothing. There was no clarity. And that was 10 hours on that plane when I felt like there is no plan. Like you just literally going there, and I had a job offer, but again, you're going into an unknown state and people who doesn't speak your language and people who doesn't maybe get the culture, that experience that I had. And you have to go and not only embrace the fear, embrace the culture that you're going into. And signing contract for 18 months, knowing that this is 18 months, you just signed something that you're going to establish yourself there, was scary. Was scary because you're not only not quite sure about who you are, but now you have to adapt to the new version of who you are. And that's that paralyzing mode, that the old that doesn't serve you back home anymore. Like there is no backing you up with familiar cultural expectations. And the new is not defined. So here you are on that plane and up in the air in the middle of Atlantic Ocean, sitting and guessing. And now you authentic and raw with yourself. Like once in the first time, I was just true to myself, authentic, scared, and pretty much relying on myself, getting my own back.
And can you remember a thought that you had in mind? when you were completely true to yourself?
True. The thought. I remember it was a mixed feeling. I was excited on one end because it was, again, another adrenaline rush, throw myself in uncertainty. And then on the other hand was absolute paralyzing fear of, can I make it? The feeling was confusion, but with some sort of a contentment. I knew it's going to be the new, better opportunity for me to explore myself. And that was kind of gave me hope. That would actually let me purchase the ticket and wave my parents goodbye and make that leap into growth versus fixed reality.
And now, if I understand you right, you were coming from a childhood with, well, let's call it limited material possessions.
Correct.
And you're on your one-way ticket to the land of the possibilities, the land of consumerism itself, where you can buy everything with your credit line.
Yeah.
And now, as far as I know, you are not the typical consumerist person. What happened in between? What changed internally for you?
I think it started back home when I actually packing for my trip to US, because the airlines only allow me this 50-pound, 23 kilogram suitcase, and per person, per trip. And when I start packing, I start questioning everything that I thought was important and everything I was saving money during the high school, during the college, and buying those things to kind of define me. They just simply didn't fit in my suitcase. It was just like this too much of like meaningless pieces of like clothes that would define me, accessories that would be like giving me some sort of a feeling and status and understanding of who I am, or like my self-expression. The art pieces that I brought up from the trip, well, clearly my 7-pound elephant from India would not fit in my suitcase. It's like not practical piece, even though it gives me like memories, attachment. So I'm looking at all of those possessions and realizing that, oh my God, did I just invest it in things that I cannot really, the thing doesn't really play that important of a role? And that felt literally like scary, because if this doesn't serve me and this is extra that I thought had meaning, then what's left?
And what's left?
What's there for me? What's left? Yeah, if not this possession that defined me,
and what was it? Yeah, that's the question. What was left?
What left? It was very simple. Myself, my talents, my knowledge, my education, my personality traits, what I'm striving for, my beliefs, my attitude, all of that. And the funny thing, none of that was like tangible material. It was internal. And I could literally start with that as a base anywhere I go.
And then did you rebuy? Oh, excuse me. I touched the microphone. And did you rebuy the elephant? Well,
no.
Look at this.
No.
This one is heavier than 7 pounds.
Yeah.
Why not? Why didn't you well, rebuy these possessions that you liked before?
Because my belief shifted, because I already had that back home, and that served me purpose. And there is no need for replacement of it. It's already have a value. Just like that one pair of jeans that I really love, I don't have to go and buy 5 for the price of 1 or 30% off, just because they have less of a value, because I can buy more for less. And I always, since that moment, Florian, and I have this suitcase mindset. I thought, if something happened to me, if I have to move, will I be able within like 2 nights pack my life in one suitcase? In what's gonna go there? Like, do I need to start thinking and put all those pictures on my hard drive right now and start scanning them, or all my paperwork and documents that I can store in my laptop and minimize? Or do I need to just give away, donate, or share my maybe 5 pair of jeans and just like keep that one right now? Like, it was immediate practicality come into my life. And I like that about this world. In US, people are practical, even though the media portrays that there is never enough, and there is always a bigger house, bigger mansion, and there is a better car, and there is a better version of a new cell phone. You still have that feeling that what you have is enough. And if you choose to invest in something that brings you fun, joy, or statement, status, inspiration, go ahead, get it, buy it. But that suitcase, I thought, let's see, let me measure it, go back to my suitcase. Would that fit in? If not, then no, I don't need it right now. And that was pretty much become call it frugal, call it practicality.
Yeah, well, which brings me to another idea or another question I have. Often when I talk to people about something called minimalism, the getting rid of excess stuff, there are two responses I hear very often. On the one hand is, well, yeah, okay, Flo, you can do that living alone on that mountain in Switzerland. It doesn't matter what you look like. The other thing is, oh, look at yourself. You own so much stuff, because I have quite a few hobbies. And well, I can give an answer to both of these, but I'm interested in first your answer, as you, well, everybody who's watching this can see you. Well, everybody who's only listening to you, well, you don't look like the typical I live only out of a suitcase, lost in the 70s hippie.
Yes.
If I look at the background of your office, there's not much stuff, but everything looks like crafted, designed. So how is it being a woman that wants to present herself in a certain way, if you on the other hand say, well, I don't want to have excess stuff? How do you find your balance? And what is your tip to our listeners?
I love it. You ask perfect person who love fashion. And I love aesthetics, and I'm a big fan of any forms of art. And on top of it, I am a professional dancer since age of 5. So you could imagine.
You have more than one dress for dancing.
Yes, absolutely. I would say this. When I start playing with the fashion, and when, as I said, thought during the college years, all this stuff, clothes defined me, and this identity that I had. When I moved in and start realizing I don't have it right now with me, and I need to spend years to reinvest in all of what I had then, I didn't go and rebuy it. Instead, I invested in something that serves me purpose, serves me to the extent it was practical. I felt good at it. And that became just a statement piece that I could combine and mix and match. And I think some of the fashionistas who listening us, there's a term capsule wardrobe, when you could match pieces and multiply and wear with a style. But I define my own minimalistic lifestyle. I agree. I might not look like one of those traditional minimalists in
whatever
Japan.
A traditional minimalist is.
Whatever it is, exactly, with maybe like promotion of like one fork, one spoon, and no couch, and just like empty walls. For me, minimalism must serve me, but in a meaningful way, not serve me with 15, I don't know, ice cream scoops. I can just have that ice scraper for my car, just one that worked. Same for my office. Like what I value would be here. And if I don't, it must go. Same with clothes. If I notice this color, and if I just flip my hangers every time I wear that item, put it back and flip it, I would start seeing the pattern that this sweater I was wearing for like 7 days a week. And that dress that I bought an investment, I don't recall when last time I wore it. Mm-hmm. And I think for women, same with the shoes. I always recommend invest in priceless, invest in vintage, invest in something that works, that will pay you off, that will be quality. And that applies not only for clothes, same goes for friendships, same goes for business, same goes with investment. Mm-hmm. And by collecting things, items and thoughts, beliefs, expectations of others, listening of those self-sabotaging voices, sooner or later, we run out of storage, which end up cluttering spaces we live in. The outcome, what would that be? That mind cycle will be, we end up serving them. Like I end up serving those jeans by providing more shelves, more space, more storage, versus those items serves me.
Mm-hmm. Which is the last item that you got rid of because it did not serve you?
Good question. I've been in the past this 2 weeks on like massive decluttering mode. I went through all the bins, like set 5 bins, and I just literally decluttered my closet and put in all of those bins, photograph everything, post it online, and reselling everything that just been there more than 2 years or 1 year.
Yeah, can you give me one item that you can recall?
Gosh, I think it was the pants or a top. It was like literally 5 bins of stuff, like just went out online.
How did that enter your life in the first place?
I did. So here's how practical I was. Even though it was one suitcase, it was one suitcase that I moved out. I did ask my parents to send me some of those items that I valued, that they were home. And when I look at some clothes, those were jeans for like 10, 15 years. I remember buying them in 2009. I asked my parents to send me and I was wearing them. And then at some point they become or big or small, or they just simply weren't out. Mm-hmm. And by now I already have something to replace them. So why would they be there sitting, cluttering, like great memories, but it's just clothes. That's not memory that I would treasure.
I have one more question for fashion.
Please.
Well, as far as I understand fashion, which I don't very, very well, it's not about being better than the old or more practical than the old. Often it's just about being new. So changing the look, having something fresh, looking different than yesterday, and especially looking different than a year ago. When I started to for myself, I took the decision that I only bought the highest quality clothes, which ended up lasting forever. So all of a sudden now, if you look at the last episode, these are 3 shirts that I'm wearing, and there's this blue sweater that I have. Every time it's cold, I have the same blue sweater. It was super high quality.
Yeah.
All natural, super comfy, and I wear it until it falls apart.
Yeah.
I think if I would take fashion more serious, I'd be bored by my look because it's always the same. How do you deal with that?
How do I deal with fashion, or how do I deal with this trend?
With buying high quality that lasts for a long time. It might bore you because the look doesn't change.
Good question, because I did invest in good quality pieces, and that actually gave me more of a mindset than piece itself, because the fact that I'm going and invest something, I don't know, in high-end cashmere sweater or a good pair of branded jeans that will last me minimum 8-10 years, it was a breakthrough moment for me to even actually invest in myself. But back to your question, I don't think, I never get bored. To me, it's my my style, and that comes with so much variety, and I feel versatile in that. So I think your question would be like, that high-end piece would not define me. I'm not boring. When we say like this piece is boring, I'm wearing that, like all of a sudden I feel boring, like I'm become the same all the time. No, I think internally that piece make me feel what? Better about myself, covering my chest, or that piece is just a statement to go out and show people that label. Like what is that? What's the purpose it serves me? To me, it just gives me some sort of a practicality. And that's my background, how I was raised. I remember my dad will value those pieces for years. They will be sitting untouched. He will make sure that pencil will only be used when the other one will be done or run down. So fashion, the same thing.
I personally think that this was a piece of wisdom that you gave to all the fashionistas out there. I have right now a couple of people in my mind where I know that when they do something successful at work, they like to buy some new clothes to show off, to show how good they feel. If they screw up, they want to buy something new because they want to treat themselves for, feeling miserable with something else. If the season changes, they want to have something new because they feel so good about the sun coming out, or they want to be better protected because it's so cold, whatsoever. There's always a reason. And what I heard in between the lines was a secret against that desire. And that is, loving yourself. So because you said, I'm not boring. I'm an interesting person. And that's what I present to everybody else. In the end, it doesn't matter what covers me, because I remain an interesting person. And if you listener manage to live into that you say, I am enough. Like Leo Babauta says, you are enough alone in a room. So you could be wearing a brown piece of cloth and you would be the most interesting person in the room.
Yeah.
And now you have the money to buy nice clothes, then buy something which is not thrown on the market because the color wasn't in last year. Buy something that is, as high quality as you are as a personality.
Exactly.
Because then it won't bore you, it won't bore others. It's like a beautiful tree. You don't have to cut down that tree and plant a new one every year, because once it's majestic and grown, and every year it has some new leaves, but it remains the same tree.
I agree. And minimalism is much more than decluttering and simplifying. It is mindset that could be applied in the different ways to the different situation. And it's not just about black and white, basic wardrobe. What's that? No furniture, one fork, one cup. And it's a highly flexible concept and naturally open to variety. I love art. If that paint and picture made my spark in me some joy and emotions, it's going with me. Like, I must have it because that's what serves the purpose. And I think I come to minimalism from the practicality and the meaning. That's my concept. There is variety.
What is your tip for those listeners? Now, two different kind of listeners. One that think they have too much and they would like to simplify. And now the second part of the question, what is your tip for those who think they don't have enough?
Good question. Thank you, Florian. I think I've been in both those situations. When I'm still thinking I have so much, and when I had that feeling, it just comes to start taking inventory of your life. If I feel too much, what does that mean too much? I think that autopilot of constant life flow without reflecting never brings clarity to life. Instead, we get stuck feeling like, oh my God, there's more and more to buy that will define me, and nothing changing. Life is a mess. Nobody cares. There's not enough, or I need something to spare because it's out of trend. I think inventory of your life brings that management approach. What stories am I telling myself? Like being manager of your own life, evaluating what do you have, what's right, what at what right level, and is it at the right place at the right time, and if it's a right value to serve me. And start with recycling your mind. Start with that. I think by recycling the mind of what is creating for you that too much, how is it affecting your life? Does that bother you? Just try to be mindful about your waste. What are you wasting? Time by shuffling, restocking, reshuffling, and even daily life. How does it make your day productive? Recognize what stopped you from that moving forward in life. Feel clear, free, and light. And second question you ask, that's a good one.
They don't have enough.
Yes. Oh, I would highlight two tips.
May I just give one more or add one more piece of information? I hear often minimalism is a first world problem. There are only people think about minimalism who live in a world of too much, because they feel the pain of being overstressed. So for them, something gets better. My personal experience is that people in the poorest area of Africa, they don't have too much, but they still don't have a minimalist mindset. Often it is the case that their parents do have a minimalist mindset, and they are quite happy. You see these old African people sitting in front of their house, just chit-chatting, and they always have the biggest smile. And then the youth, very often they are stressed, they are hustling.
Yeah.
They think they need to have more. This is why I believe that minimalist isn't what, but it's not a cult, it's not a religion, and it's not about stuff. No. It's just a mindset. Yeah. In my opinion, it's a recipe to focus on what is important in your life, because we only have so much time, not more. and we only have so
Absolutely.
much money, and we only have so much energy, and every moment we can only invest once. And therefore, in my simplifying, in my opinion, it's not about the reason behind or the meaning behind. It's not about saying no. It's about saying yes to the right things. Those that don't wear you out, but those that make your life richer. And you can only fully say yes to something if you, in that moment, say no to everything else. So when I started, it was about saying no. And now I say no. No, not no.
Yeah.
It's about saying yes to what matters most.
Absolutely.
And therefore, there was a time when I had too much and it stressed me out to find that. And now, what about those listeners who don't think that they already have too much, but they would like to have so much more? Back to that question. What is your suggestion?
You just highlighted one of those moments when I was traveling in India, and I could relate to that story when people were absolutely happy with less, with not much, and some people would say with nothing, but they had something internal. Then I remember every single smile on that street. They were not homeless, they were not poor, they were just people, not maybe up to the standard of Western Eastern world. But it's exactly what inspired me to, I would answer this question in two parts. First, my answer would be strip down to the essentials. And second would be love what you have. And I will expand. So the minimalism, as you said, Florian, the minimalistic principle is to start simplifying your life and start identifying what is essential and most important in your life. Is your focus there? Or is something or someone is distracting it? And if you don't know what's important to you, start to discover.
Yeah.
What do you value in life? What's matter the most? Importance identifying brings this focus and clarity on your priorities. And that's so much easier to make the decision for what fits in your life and what doesn't. And applying this will not leave any room for what others tell us we should want or have to be. And second is love what you have. How many things do we own that are considered truly special, like truly? And after we unclutter, not much, like to be honest, not much. And spending time cleaning and moving things around, absorbing negative self-talks, like investing into the people who do not serve us, hustling to save, to buy another thing, are simply not worth our precious time. And back to that question, like what we truly consider special probably would be the time. And time, that's all we have. We have choice to use it wisely. So by the end of the year or season, maybe the advice will be go through each part of your life, from the closet to relationships, and to believe, to the connection, and reevaluate or get rid of what does not in practical use, what does not provide you love. That would be probably where I would suggest.
Thank you for that. What do you think of that you don't have at the moment and that would add value to your life? It doesn't have to be something materialist. It has just anything.
That's a good question. What would add value? I would say wisdom. Wisdom and contentment.
Okay, now tell me where you get that. I'll be waiting there.
Yeah, I think that unfortunately, the answer, fortunately, it will come out of process or like life as we live, like through this journey that will come from there. So it's a time consuming investment. I will say that. Wisdom. And I would probably wish and would love to have contentment. Being an entrepreneur and business owner triggers in me as a high driven overachiever all of this wants and needs of having, expanding, create more value for people and reach out to more, connect with more, help them to navigate through life changes and transitions. Like that's, I'm on constant wheel spinning mode in a good way. It's generate some results, motivation, inspiration, and I feel like I'm contributing to the world, serving my mission. But it's still a process. It's still a movement, and still like, well, is 1,000 people impact is enough? Probably not. Let's do 1,000,000. And that does not come with contentment. When you feel like you're serving your purpose, you don't have to lift a finger. You can just like radiate your wisdom. It will be great. But I feel like as a business owner, I have to, and I'm saying this mindfully and consciously, that have to probably is on my mind strong right now, that I'm learning more and more that being who I am is enough, and flip that I need to do to become that. Instead, I am like that. I don't have to do more. I had this backward all my life. I had this backward. I need to get another PhD. I need to win another championships and get my hobby to the next level. I need to speak fourth language, or I need to generate revenue X amount. So when I do that, then I become successful. Then I will be recognized, loved, appreciated, and enough. And once I flipped that, there was the energy shift in that belief.
Okay, I have one more question.
Please.
Business-wise, as you earn money serving people, I think this is why I'm interested in your business as well. What would be a goal business-wise that you would like to achieve if you wouldn't know it's impossible? So put it simple, tell me an impossible goal for your business.
I want to say it's possible. I don't like that intention of impossible.
Make it so big that it's impossible, that you don't know how to get there.
For some reason, first in my mind comes like the world contribution, the world recognition. I'm a globalist. Like to me, if I can open coaching service office somewhere on the moon, that would be great. But I can probably world level arena impact. Like right now, it's kind of impossible, but it's doable. And I think it would just make a big difference for my business. Yeah.
Okay.
That's a good question.
An impossible goal is a place to come from, not a place to go to. So if that is an impossible goal, you carry the solution inside of you.
It's funny that you stay that way, because I'm like, wait a minute, but I am serving the world. Like being an international coach and serving people over the world. I'm like, wait a minute, but I'm doing it. It's just, yeah, maybe the flip of a vision help. I agree.
Well, now, last but not least, if somebody has not heard about simplifying clutter and minimalism before, what is your suggestion for them where to start?
Where to start? Well, first of all, ask yourself a question. Do I need to have that in the first place? If it's triggering you something of like, yeah, like where to begin? I need help. Or I think I can tempt with that. I think it starts with a question, why would you need that?
Okay.
So
Well, let's stop there. For our listeners, why would you need it in the first place?
I can speak from my own experience. I would not know why would you listeners need that. But for me, it create a space where I could invite, bring, produce, invest things that only enhance my life and up my potential and create a room for meaningful things and let me actually evolve and breathe easily. That concept reduce my stress and expand on more opportunities because I had space. I was operating out of, oh my God, there's so much on my plate. How can I get this excited opportunity? Instead, I had that opportunity. I had that space to create opportunity. And the minimalistic approach works by having balance in meaningful consumptions. So it helped me separate what's mine, what I have been told to believe. Mm-hmm. You might have consumed an idea and took as your own, but does that really belong to you, if you would ask? That blueprint of how we grow up and raised. This life is yours, only yours. So help me clear out the chatter in my head and create clean, uncluttered space for great, impressive thoughts of what do I want and turn into the beautiful source of abundance and energy and not coming out of place. Well, I wasn't grew up like that. So why am I expecting to have any different? Or the money doesn't grow on trees, or we are not a Rockefeller. All of those stories were part of my life for years until I choose to strip down and come to the basic to the essentials. So having that balance of that the past does not define your future, and am I willing to create my own future? And how does that look like? Recreate my blueprint with adding what I knew, who I am by now. That's the concept was for me. But create your own. You
and if somebody wants to find out more about your concept, what's a good place to find you or find out something about you?
I feel like I keep it simple in life. I am my own concept. And if you need me, just go to my website, and which is yanastockman.com. Keep it simple. And if you want to find me anywhere on social media, it's going to be the same first and last name, and you're going to have me, and we can talk.
Where are you based?
I coach internationally, but I'm based in US and in lovely up north, Midwest, Minnesota state. Not that far away from Canada, right on the edge, like literally 2 minutes away walk from the biggest lake in the world, Lake Superior. And
nice.
Yes, and we had lots of flurries and snow yesterday.
Yes. Well, listeners, viewers, well, if you listen to now that it is up on air, the last episode was again with Mike Mendel from Toronto, Canada, and that was recorded exactly 24 hours ago.
Yeah.
And he was complaining because it was snowing all the time. It was like, oh, it's in Hypno East. He's calling Toronto always Hypno East and Hypno North. He said, it's snowing in Hypno East. I can't see anything. I have to go out and shovel the snow again. So yeah, I'm happy that we have a bit of sunshine here in the mountains. Well, Yana, thank you so much for all of your insights. I hope that we have the possibility to connect again somehow in the future. For now, thank you for all of your wisdom. thank you for being you. And anybody who wants to find out more about you, head over to Yana Stockman.com and have a good week. Thanks for listening.
Thank you, Florian. Appreciate it. Thank you.